Welcome back to Level Up Kitchen. I'm Cameron Holt, and today we're making Klobásník, also known as kolaches if you're from Texas, like I am, and grew up calling them kolaches, which is not the right thing. I'm using the recipe for a spicy cheese brat Klobásník and kolaches from Savory Baking by Erin Jeane McDowell. 1, 2, 3. 4 cups of flour. The flour of all purposes. 1/3 of a cup of sugar. 2 tablespoons of non-fat dried milk powder. This ingredient is optional, but I had it for a Japanese milk bread that I made a while ago, so I figured why not. 1 tablespoon of dry instant yeast. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. We're gonna mix until those are all incorporated with one another with the dough hook. This recipe also calls for 130 grams of melted butter, but it needs to be cooled, so I'm gonna go ahead and prep that now. 131, we'll call it good. Nutritious. 113 grams. 113? Oh no. Poor memory strikes again. Not a problem. We'll just measure out 113 grams. Perfect. Set that aside for now. 3/4 of a cup of milk. We're gonna heat this up until it's about 110 degrees on the stove. Oh, messy, messy, messy. We're gonna heat up that milk until it gets to about 110 degrees. Then we're gonna add that and our room temp eggs, which I forgot about. So I'm actually going to heat up some water, just a little bit to get it warm, and then put the eggs in it until they get up to room temp. Because we don't want to use cold eggs and risk cooling down the milk prematurely so that the yeast doesn't activate and we don't get as much of a rise. That would be sad. I'll cry. Once again, remember to agitate your milk constantly as you heat it up so that it doesn't burn on the bottom, because that would suck. Now to the dry, we're gonna add our 3/4 of a cup of warm milk, 113 grams of butter, melted and cooled, 2 wet eggs. We're gonna mix this for about 4 minutes on low speed and then move it up to high for another 5, another 2. While that's mixing, we'll get our large bowl prepared with, you guessed it, grease. Greasy. This is probably not the way these are intended to be held. But you know, probably don't need to spatula down the sides because it's not even sticking. Go ahead and pump this up to high. Okay, that dough is looking smooth and like dough. So, slurp it down. I was afraid it was gonna be too dry, but it's actually quite sticky. All right, I'm just gonna do a light pre-shape. This isn't in the instructions. I just feel like it should be done. Probably should have taken my ring off for this. That would have been the smart thing to do. But then how will the people know that I love my wife? A nice ball. I'm gonna put it in top first. Get it nice and coated in grease. Cover that with our handy dandy shower cap. Now I'm gonna use the same trick as I did in episode 2, the one where I made the cinnamon bread. I'm gonna put this in a cold oven, and then I'm gonna put a pan underneath it and fill that with steaming water from the kettle to create a nice proving drawer, because my oven doesn't have a proving setting. Make sure you use a pretty deep pan to pour your water into. You don't want it to be shallow because you are gonna have to take it out of the oven later. Once the kettle heats up, I'll pour that into the pan, and I'll see you guys in an hour and 15 minutes. 201 degrees is more than warm enough, so we're gonna go ahead and pour this right into the pan. You can see the steam coming up. That's gonna make a nice warm environment for our bread to proof. While the dough rises, first off, sorry for the change in audio quality. I had to plug my phone in, which means I can't use my microphone. But this might actually sound better. Who knows? Tell me in the comments if it does or if it doesn't. Comment, please comment on this video. While the dough is rising, we're gonna go ahead and brown the sausages for our klobásník. So the recipe that I'm making calls for 10 sausages or brats. I only have 5 of these chicken sausages, smoked apple gouda. I really danced my heart out and my lungs. I'm still getting to know this stove. Got it set at 280, which doesn't seem too hot. Like 350 is like frying temperature, but you know, we'll just keep our eyes on it, I guess. So luckily these chicken apple gouda sausages are pre-cooked. So I'm really just browning them on all sides, which is gonna go pretty quickly at this temperature apparently. It's like a little sausage star, or a little sausage sphincter. While these are finishing up browning, I'm also gonna go ahead and prep this smoked gouda with bacon that I'm gonna shred, and it's gonna be the filling and the topping for our klobásník. Klobásník. You can never have enough cheese. Unless you're lactose intolerant, then technically enough cheese is, any cheese is too much. And what we're not gonna do is grate our fingers and knuckles. And that's why you should always keep your eyes on your hands when you're using a grater or a mandolin. Support your brother's wieners. I know we're on Bake Talk and not Book Talk, but this is still a nerd-themed show. Anybody read any good books lately? I recently finished the Cradle series, and I love it. I'm a big Cosmere fan, but honestly, I think that Will White's approach to bridging fantasy into sci-fi was a little bit smoother than I think Sanderson is doing right now. Hot take. But that's also coming from somebody who doesn't really delve deep into a lot of sci-fi. I like my fantasy with magic and dragons. The wieners are cooked, chat. Now it's time for a bit of wiener surgery. So we're gonna split these almost all the way through down the middle lengthwise, like so. Now, if you wanted to, you could shove some sliced jalapenos in there. I have a medical issue at the moment that I'm still getting over, so I'm not gonna do anything spicy. But we'll stick some cheese in there as a treat. I'm just gonna cover those for a little bit while we wait for our dough to finish rising. I think it's risen, as Judas once said. Now we're gonna separate this into 10 different pieces. How do I make 10? About 95 grams each. 95 grams? 82, 124, okay. That's 3 grams? 95. Okay. 2, are your batteries dying? Am I losing my mind? The answer is yes. Why a 10? 10 is such a stupid number of things to divide something into. 10 pieces. Do I look stupid? See how nice it could have been if they had given us a normal enough number that I could have just divided it into halves. Split it in half once, that's 2. Split each of those in half, that's 4. Split each of those in half, that's 8. 8 is a reasonable number of Klobásník. I'm only gonna make 5. And they're gonna be pretty as hell. 5 vastly different sized buns. We're gonna cover these with a clean kitchen towel, and I'm gonna just let them rise for another, it says 15 minutes, but the dishwasher just ran, and for some reason that makes the countertop warm here, which is good for proofing. Should mean less time, so I'm gonna give them like 8 minutes. Not a lot of change in those 8 minutes. It was a little bit longer because I got distracted. We're gonna press on and see what happens. I've got a parchment-lined pan. I'm gonna flatten each of these into a rectangle, roll up our wieners in them, and then put them seam side down onto the baking sheet where they'll proof for another 30 minutes. Rolling pin. This on the short side, grab some cheese and stuff it in the crease. The crease. Stick some cheese in the wiener crease. Roll. Sometimes when I'm editing these videos, I watch them back and I'm like, why would you ever do it that way? I think this is gonna be one of those times. Grease. They are covered with greased plastic wrap. We're gonna let those proof on the counter for 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna preheat our oven to 350 Fahrenheit with a rack in the center. Still not seeing much of a rise on these, which is a little concerning. Probably I should have mixed them a little longer, but we're gonna make an egg wash and then sprinkle the extra cheese on top and throw them in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll see if they're good. Cheese it. Into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Yes. These look delicious. I ended up going the full 25 minutes because it doesn't seem like the egg wash really held. Kind of just leaked off to the edges. Maybe that's because I mixed a little water with it. Maybe I wasn't supposed to do that. Maybe they were overfloured. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna let them cool for at least 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna eat one. Looks good. Let's see if it tastes good. The sausage is good. The bread is a little bit dense, but not bad. It's more akin to like a dinner roll than what you would expect from like a fluffy, soft kolache. That might be because I didn't split them into the 10 parts that it wanted them to be, but it's not bad by any means. I'm gonna try this again in the future because I think I can do better, but this is not bad. But it's another quest checked off in the log. Like this video and follow me so I can level up, and let me know what I should make next in the comments. I'll see you in the next episode, but until then, stay safe out there, adventurers.